A New Life Stirring. This is not my true name. I first wanted to apologize because I had posted several comments in the last few days, none of which actually posted, and it was that very last one, completely out of context, that looked like out of context I was calling you illiterate, and you're quite right that that would be very inappropriate name calling, and you're obviously not illiterate because you are exchanging written information with me online. So I apologize that it came across that way, but it was certainly not my intention to call you names. What my intention was to ask you your reasoning behind continuing to state and restate that there's, quote, like, no scientific evidence, or that there are no studies. You keep saying that there are no studies that indicate the historical presence of same-sex marriage, and also you said that there are no studies that confirm that it has any societal value. I have posted 2 citations to specific articles that talk about the harm that is caused by banning same-sex marriage. And I've also posted a quotation from the American Anthropological Association, which you refer to as science fiction, which I thought was very funny. My question to you is, why do you deny the content of this research and the existence of this research, and why do you do it repeatedly? Like a broken record, will repeat your opinion, repeat your opinion, repeat your opinion, and including repeating statements that aren't true, like there are no studies, when there are obviously studies. And I value your opinion because you have a right to it. My arguments are based on my opinions, but what I think the important part of a discussion is actually providing some form of evidence. My second question is, I have asked you several questions which you've also chosen to ignore, and you just keep reiterating your opinion in place of answering the questions. So I'm going to re-ask the questions, and I can appreciate if you don't want to answer them. You're free to say, I don't want to answer that question, or, but they're on the table and you ignore them. The first question is, because you won't offer any evidence, you won't back up your opinions with citations or any other kind of evidence at all, I have asked you, well, are you speaking as a social scientist? Are you speaking from some professional expertise that would actually give weight to the opinions that you express? Because you do often go back to saying that you're a physician. Well, great. What kind of physician qualifies you to make these statements? And I know recently that you've posted that your medical training is outside the parameters of our discussion. So then my request is to then keep it outside the parameters of the discussion. If you're not willing to back up your statements, your medical statement. Also, unanswered question. Out of some unanswered questions, you often talk about the fact that homosexuality can be incited, okay, that it is spread through militant gays influencing adolescents. And you have backed off from talking about behavior as being contagious. And I do agree with you that human behavior does influence human behavior. But my question to you is, sexuality has a social component. In all human sexual socialization, behavior influences behavior. How is that different for homosexuals versus heterosexuals? Because your argument seems to be that because homosexuals are influencing this development of homosexuality, that it must not be real or innate or valid or something. How is that different than how heterosexuals influence the development of heterosexual identity or behavior? Now, one question that I think you have answered very clearly is not my question, but the question on the table, which is the Baha'i faith intolerant towards homosexuals and towards homosexuality? Mavidite answered that question with his video, with scriptural evidence, with some logical reasoning, and you have answered that question, yes, by discriminating right here in flesh and blood on the internet. So I do have to thank you for giving a positive answer to that question, even though I, of course, disagree with it. Now I have a question for you. You have put the burden of proof on me to prove to you that there is some social benefit to same-sex marriage. I would like to reverse the question. Please prove to me with any kind of social science, whatever you've got, whatever kind of logical reasoning you have, that there is some inherent advantage to exclusively heterosexual marriage for the human species, okay? I don't mean reproduction. Obviously, reproduction is important, but what is the advantage to society of banning same-sex marriage? The very last thing I want to say, you keep saying that it is a choice to obey Baha'i law. Of course, you can choose to be a Baha'i or not be a Baha'i once you're an adult, not if you're a child. Right now, in the history of the Baha'i faith, it's true that there's no Baha'i institution that is wandering the streets of San Francisco trying to give sanctions to people who are not Baha'is, who are out. But the Baha'i writings clearly envisage this future world where we have a Baha'i world commonwealth, where Baha'i law is the law. This is the Kitabi Akdas. If you would please look at page 247 for the note 189, which is in reference to paragraph 181, referencing the New World Order of Baha'u'llah. It quotes the Bayan and then goes on to say, the institutions of the present day Baha'i administrative order, which constitute the structural basis of Baha'u'llah's world order, will mature and evolve into the Baha'i world commonwealth. In this regard, Shoghi Effendi affirms that the administrative order will, as its component parts, its organic institutions, begin to function with efficiency and vigor, assert its claim, and demonstrate its capacity to be regarded not only as the nucleus, but the very pattern of the New World Order, destined to embrace in the fullness of time the whole of humankind. Excuse me, the whole of mankind. Misquote there. I was getting rid of sexist language. Subconsciously. So, my last word to you in your question of why do I care about this since I'm not a Baha'i and I'm not a homosexual, I care about it because I'm a human being, and anything that discriminates against my fellow human beings is an affront to me personally, particularly because I have friends and family who are gay, who I love. I'm sure that you have friends and family who are gay. So I am debating with you on behalf of your friends and family who are gay and mine. Also, as a heterosexual, I can take my liberty for granted. I can go marry whoever I want, okay? I can go and have kids with no one casting aspersions on me. What if I have my big, fancy heterosexual marriage and family life and raise a child who is gay, and they have to deal with people like you telling them they have a spiritual sickness? That is why I am arguing with you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll respond.